No? Okay, so it's a call and response. So I will say, or Christina, whoever needs to get your attention, will say I go, and you respond with I may. Okay? So let's practice. So I go,
Amen.
I go,
Amen.
say it with your chest. I go,
Amen.
there, that's better. So it comes from the Tweed language in West Africa, and ago means I need or I want your attention. AGO. And ame, AME, is you have it. Okay? So it's much better than, hey everybody, shut up and listen to me now, or quiet coyote and all the other stuff. So ago,
Amen.
ago,
Amen.
ago.
Amen.
There's power in three. So
They got it. All right. So, what was that exercise like for folks? Anyone feel uncomfortable by show of hands?
When you're holding someone's hand. Okay,
Okay, so you were uncomfortable because you were holding someone's hand and what?
like after a few seconds of handshakes, you don't hold on to the person's hands while you're talking to them.
Yeah, it's a little different, right? You're giving the eye contact. Okay. Anyone else? Who else said they were uncomfortable? What was uncomfortable?
Staring at each other, trying to find what you're going to say next.
Okay. So did you find that you wanted to let go of the hand, and did you avert your gaze? Did you try not to look them in the eye? Yes. Okay. Why do you think I might be doing this exercise in relation to the topic of trauma, poverty, and racism? Why do you think I had to do that during this exercise?
Because they were comfortable.
Well, I did say that. We're in the business of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay. I did say that. Okay, so let me kind of give an overview of trauma from the perspective that I understand it. And, of course, Dr. Seifert could kind of incorporate her own because she's an expert on trauma work herself. When you've been exposed to a trauma, you've been exposed to something so horrific that you feel scared, helpless, or horrified. That's considered to be a criterion of a trauma. Now, there's the DSM-5 coming out that we have to start using, I guess, in Delaware it's in October. Maryland, is it the same?
I think it's October.
It's October.
August?
October.
Kind of, but I think the ICD-10 code changed in October.
Yeah. And I'm still getting familiar with that. So I'm talking DSM-4 language, okay? I know DSM-4 language. I'm learning DSM-5 language. Okay. So you're exposed to something where you feel scared, helpless, or horrified. That's what trauma is, okay? And it could be a number of things. It could be a car accident, domestic violence. It could be a natural disaster. There's many things that would fit the definition of a trauma. But when you've been exposed to a trauma, it changes how you see yourself, it changes how you see other people, and it changes how you see the world. Okay? There's 3 clusters of post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, I'm talking about trauma. That doesn't mean everyone who's experienced a trauma has PTSD. All right? But just for the purpose of explaining the exercise. There's re-experiencing. That's when you cannot stop thinking about something that's so horrific. It just comes into your mind, and it's just picking on you and picking on you and picking on you. There's intrusive thoughts. You may have flashbacks. You cannot get this stuff out of your mind. Okay? Then there's hyperarousal symptoms. That's when you have trouble sleeping. That's when you're easily startled. You jump, just at the smallest little thing. You're easily agitated. Those are hyperarousal symptoms. But what maintains post-traumatic stress disorder is not the re-experiencing necessarily, and it's not hyperarousal symptoms. It's something called numbing or avoidance. That's what maintains trauma symptoms. Because it's so uncomfortable to think about something uncomfortable that we on purpose try to push it away. Now, there are people in the room who work in the area of addiction, right? I heard there's some, right? So substance abuse is a very good way of coping and pushing stuff away. It's a good coping mechanism in the short term. It doesn't work in the long term. You don't want to tell people to do that. But that's why people will numb themselves, right? You don't want to think about something. So because of that, it's really hard to form relationships with others. Interpersonal effectiveness is really difficult. Intimacy is really difficult. And it's a form of intimacy when you hold someone's hand and you're looking them in the eye. Self-esteem is affected. So if you have poor self-esteem, it's really hard to kind of focus on someone too. There's issues of safety and trust. These are things that are affected, impacted when you've been exposed to something traumatic. If you don't feel safe with someone, it's hard to get close to someone and have a conversation. If you don't trust someone, you don't want to shake their hand and talk to them about something you like because you're being vulnerable. So those things are really uncomfortable. So if we have not experienced the trauma in this room and we found this to be really uncomfortable, imagine what this might be like for foster children who have been exposed to traumatic situations. the trauma of being removed from the home, coupled with the trauma that they experience in their home, right? So that's the purpose of the exercise. So yes, we are in the business of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and we're going to do some other fun, well, I don't know, fun stuff, but we're going to try to make it fun. Okay, so basically the trauma is defined up here. In, I guess the definition I had here is that it requires extra coping efforts. So I talked about different ways of coping, but so extreme that you have to utilize a variety of coping efforts. Okay, people are trying to get back to being. I'm sorry, I guess I tell folks to go back.
I was like, why are they moving?
Yeah.
This is rude.
This wasn't an exercise. Malik, you can turn to the next slide because I think I covered that. So why don't you just call out different kinds of trauma that are experienced by children that you encounter? What are different traumatic things that loss of parents? Loss of parents, yes. Domestic violence. Domestic violence. What else? Physical abuse. Sexual abuse. Sexual abuse and physical abuse. Natural disasters, okay. Assault. Yes. Watching somebody shot. Witnessing someone else being killed or shot. Absolutely. So these are all the traumatic things. So what happens then is when you experience something traumatic, you try to make sense of it, right? You try to make sense of what's going on. So there's something called a just world theory. And this theory says good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. I know when I was growing up, if I did something good, I got rewarded for it, right? If I do something bad, I get punished for it. So is that, anyone have children in the room? Right? So you reward them if they get good grades, you give them a cookie or something, I don't know. You do something, right? And if they do something bad, you punish them. But here's the thing, the world is more complex than that. Good things happen to bad people, and bad things happen to good people. So when you can't make sense of that cognitively in your mind, if you can't piece that together, then you try to find a way to do that. So there's terms called assimilation and accommodation, and these are things you're trying to do to make sense of your experience. So when our children have been exposed to something traumatic, and then they're being removed from their home, instead of saying, well, I'm being removed from my home because it's a safe thing and my parent or caregiver was hurting me, they may blame themselves. They may feel guilty because it doesn't make sense to them. So if something bad like being removed from the home is happening to them, it must be because they are bad, not because the perpetrator is bad. So that's when blame and shame come into the picture. So you have trauma that causes the removal plus trauma of being removed. So it leads to feelings of confusion and anger and fear. And their coping skills are hampered. So when you can't cope and you don't have an emotional vocabulary to talk about what you're feeling and what you're thinking, you develop a good behavioral vocabulary, right? You don't have the emotional vocabulary, so you develop a behavioral vocabulary. We call it externalizing symptoms. That's when you're acting out. That's when you're yelling. That's when you're punching. That's when you're fighting. Those are externalizing behaviors. And those are the things that we're seeing with some of our children. So it's not surprising that 48% of children used in foster care have emotional or behavioral problems. PTSD symptoms are prevalent, and 19.2% of children refer to child welfare. In a study of children in foster care, 60% of those sexually abused were diagnosed with PTSD, and 42% of those physically abused were diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, which I've already defined. So here's the thing, there's a national study, and I don't remember what year this was done, but it's a national study looking at children's experience with trauma, and there's something called polygvictimization. Most often when people are exposed to trauma, unfortunately, it's not just one traumatic event. It's several traumatic events. So conventional crime, sexual assault, peer and sibling victimization. These are some of the things that you all in the room called out. So in the study, we learned that two-thirds of youth have been exposed to more than one type of trauma. So that's what, about 50%. And 30% have been exposed to 5 or more traumatic events. Now, this isn't even looking just solely at children in the child welfare system. So you can imagine that the number might be even greater. Okay, so this is kind of what we're dealing with. This is how chronic this is. Okay, so I want you to take a moment, and we're going to play something for you to listen to. And I will warn you that it might be a little bit uncomfortable. I just say we're going to be getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, so don't be upset with me.
emergency. Hello? Mama, she's crying. Why is she crying? My dad. What about? She's hitting her. How old are you? 9. Okay, what's your name, honey? Crystal? What's your last name, Crystal? Okay. You're okay, right? You just keep hitting her? Yeah. Did you see him hit her? No. Where are they? In the apartment. Okay, where are you? Next door. You live next door? Yeah. Okay, do they know you are? Yes. Do they know you're calling the police? Yes. My next door neighbor said that to call the police. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. We'll get them off jail quick, okay? Can you stay on the line with me for a minute? Yeah.
All right, so that was a 911 call from a young lady named Crystal. And what are your reactions to that call? It was hard to listen to. Yeah. What was going on with Crystal? What was she experiencing?
Fear.
Fear, yes. There was fear. Why was she experiencing fear? What was going on in her home?
And then it's getting her mom.
Yeah, so there was domestic violence, right? Possibly she experiences, this may not have been the first time that she's seen it, right? She knew to go to a neighbor's house, which was good, and she was able to call 911. So she was experiencing fear. What else might have been going on with her? What other emotions was she probably experiencing? Confusion. Yeah, it's confusing to see one of your parents hurt another parent, right? That's so confusing. Why is that happening? That doesn't make sense. So confusion and fear. Okay. Now, I'm seeing different reactions. I'm seeing fear. Yes, it was really difficult to hear that. So what's going on with you? What do you all feel as a result of hearing the 911 call? What's going on in your bodies right now, in your mind?
Why did the neighbor let the 9-year-old call?
Why did the neighbor let the 9-year-old? I know. Why did the neighbor? Why couldn't the neighbor do it? And that might make you feel frustrated or angry or some emotion, right?
A 9-year-old shouldn't get called.
Shouldn't have to happen. Yeah, that's not right. What other thoughts? Yeah, your doctor has done something to help Crystal. What other thoughts or feelings are you having right now? Like you were saying, huh?
So her environment is not safe, and she feels helpless.
Right. Yeah. So you feel scared. You feel fear. There's anger that we might be feeling, hearing something like this, knowing that no child should have to be exposed to that. That's not right. It's not fair. But this is the work that we do, right? This is the work that we do. So this is something that we we expose ourselves to on a regular basis, and it's uncomfortable. And sometimes we could feel helpless. Even hearing something like that, knowing you can't be there to help Crystal, and it's not fair that Crystal has to go through that. And it would be, why does this stuff have to happen? Why don't parents make better choices? And if you want to have a kid, and you should think about it, you should be a parent, because if you're going to act like that, you shouldn't have kids. All these things come up, right? So emotionally, we're having uncomfortable feelings when we do this. So imagine the feelings of Crystal if we feel this way, right? If we feel angry, if we feel scared, if we feel sad, if we're confused, if we want to do something, imagine how she might be feeling, right?
Well, what I think about is, Crystal is probably going to go to school the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what's going to happen to her?
Yes. Yes. So that's a really good point. Your name?
Renee.
Renee. That's a great point, Renee. We work in Delaware. We have a number of alternative schools. And many of the children that we work with have been exposed to some level of trauma. We actually are partnering now with the National Council to make sure we are a trauma-informed organization. Because many of our children are coming in, and this is the stuff that they're dealing with, right? And then we expect them to learn, and we expect them to behave, right? Crystal doesn't feel, she may not feel safe talking to her teacher or a counselor about what's going on. She may not even have the emotional vocabulary to talk about that, right? So what I said before is if you don't have the emotional vocabulary, you use the behavioral vocabulary, right? And sometimes the behavioral vocabulary is acting out, and other times you could just withdraw and isolate and be to yourself. But it's not uncommon to be emotionally dysregulated. You know, your emotions are all out of whack when you're being exposed to things like this. In the work that we do, we're really interested in the concept of mindfulness. Does anyone know what mindfulness is? No? I'm going to give a very simple definition for those who don't know. It's just paying attention on purpose. Paying attention on purpose. Now, if you're experiencing trauma, and that's considered if you have PTSD and anxiety disorder, if you're anxious, you might be anticipating that something bad is going to happen. So you're thinking about the future. What's going to happen next, right? Sometimes with depression, you're thinking about something that's happened in the past. You can think about the future too, but it's not good, right? But when you're experiencing those uncomfortable emotions, very rarely are you focusing on the present moment, on right now, the here and now. So there's the Youth Empowerment Seminar. There's different organizations that on purpose go to different schools in the inner cities and also in the suburbs, and they practice mindfulness with the youth because it allows our youth to learn how to, on purpose, pay attention to what's going on in their bodies and in their minds. So then they can begin to talk about some of these things. And we know that when you do mindfulness, there's mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's considered an evidence-based form of treatment. When you focus on the present moment, what it does is that for our kids, it increases academic performance, it increases their attention, it reduces the externalizing behaviors, it leads to increased self-esteem. So it really actually has a lot of really, really good outcomes. And so we're trying to implement, we have a rollout with our alternative schools, I couldn't get that out, to do mindfulness-based work. Because we know that for our youth, it's really going to be hard to come and focus on these things because, like I said, 80% of urban youth are exposed to trauma. It's usually community-based violence. We have a gathering, a town hall meeting next Thursday where we're going to be talking to the community about the impact of community-based violence on our youth and on the people in the community. You know, it's like you're trying to heal a wound, right? So when I opened you guys up a little bit, I recognize that. So I'm a clinical psychologist. I recognize that when you open someone up, you gotta close them. Otherwise, you guys aren't going to want to listen to me the rest of the talk. You guys don't want to get out of here, and you're going to have all kinds of negative thoughts about me. So I'm going to change your negative thoughts because I'm going to practice something with you called big booty. All right? Instantly, by me saying big booty, you have to be thinking about something different. And
I am.
But don't look at my booty. It's an accident of purpose. I'm not just being silly. Big booty is an activity that we've done with our youth to teach mindfulness, okay? We changed the terminology because people could really run with the idea of big booty. We use different terms. But for the sake of having some fun with you all and closing you up a little bit, we're going to do some mindfulness work with you. So I'm going to ask 4 brave souls, do you want 4 folks?
Yeah.
To come up in front of the audience and do an exercise that I told you nothing about. They're like, they're going to talk about booty.
So, come on up. Yeah. We need
Thank
3
you.
more.
Anyone else want to? We need some folks to do the exercise.
2 more.
All right.
There we go.
Very
One
good.
more.
All right.
We need 1 more.
One more. Your husband here? Yeah. Okay. You want to bring your husband in?
There we go.
Okay, we got someone. Okay.
There we go.
I get to watch it this time.
Okay. So,
I'm gonna.
I'm going to stand over here because I just don't want to be compared to how tall he is. That's my self-esteem. All right, so it's called Big Booty, right? So all we have to do is form a circle. Let's just form a circle. You guys come on around here, right? And so it's kind of call and response. I seem to like call and response a little bit, right? But my title is Big Booty. number 1, right? Number 2, number 3, number 4, right? Not 1, 2, 3, 4, but number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. All you have to do is remember your title, right? And call out your title and someone else's title, okay, that you want to pass it to, okay? To rhythm, right? So we'll do the song first, right? So it's very easy. So this is where you all come in to help, right? So here's the beat. So it's big booty, 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 big booty. All right, so that's it, right? So you guys help us out, even members of the Rhythmless Nation, right? It's not too tough, right? All right. So we'll practice that one more time. Here it goes. Ready? So big booty, 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 big booty. All right. So that's the beat, right? So we'll keep that going. You guys will help us out, right? And then I'm going to call my title out in one of your titles, right? All you have to do is always start with your title on beat and then call someone else's title out, right? So, for instance, as we're going, I'll say big booty number 1, right? And you have to be right there real fast, and you'll say number 1, number whatever, right? Okay? All right? If you mess up, then you're out. Okay? You don't say your title, you don't say someone else's title, or you don't say it on beat, then you're out. Okay? So, for the practice round, here's the practice round, all right? Big booty, 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 big booty. You are rhythm, man. We're done. I have high expectations, bud. All right, ready again. So, big booty, 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 big booty number 1. Number 1, number 3. I feel like changing the song because Don Mar got the Mr. No, so as soon as I say number 1, right? So big booty number 1, right? So big booty number 1. You say number 1, number 2, right? Number 2, number 4, whatever, something like that. All right? We'll try again. You guys don't have to say the words, just do the beat. Okay? Right? Big booty, 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 big booty number 1, number 1, number 2. One victim. There we go. All right. So big booty, number 1, number 2, number 3. All right, we're good. Ready? I'm sorry. Let's say the words. I messed that up, right? So we say the words. Ready? Big booty, 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 big booty number 1, number 1, number 2. Big booty number 2. Number 1, number 2. Almost, man. Almost. Now y'all can see me. All right, here we go. All right, so number 1, number 2, big booty. Yeah. Somebody's playing this. Big booty, 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 big booty number 2. You won. Woo!
You got your workout.
Yeah.
Now we know why she's wrong.
activities like that, and you know, in therapy you may not do a big booty game, you know, but there's dialectical behavior therapy. There's a lot of forms of therapy where you incorporate mindfulness activities into the work to help ground the views that we're working with. And so that's what we find is so incredibly important, to bring mindfulness-based work into our programs in Delaware, because we need our kids to be grounded in the present so we can do the work more effectively with them. And also, I was trying to distract you a little bit from the 911. Did that work a little bit? Yeah? Okay. Why don't we take like a 5-minute break right here? Yeah? Take a quick break and then we'll continue on. I think that works. I know. That's
Really enjoyed it. So,
you are too tall. I want to fit into stereotypes. Things like that.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, you have to do that.
But he's getting treatment at the VA. But one of the things is that we're hoping to have community-based therapists that are not really catching him when he has an episode where he has to completely take himself out of for quite a while until he himself out. So that's kind of like the big issue.